Hey there, welcome to The Empowered Edge, the podcast that gives you nutrition, mindset, and habit-building strategies that actually work. I'm your host, Jenna Hostetler, registered dietitian, certified neurocoach, and your go-to guide to break free from burnout, cut through the health noise, and reclaim control of your body and brain. Each week, you'll get practical, science-backed strategies so you can stop second-guessing yourself, sharpen your focus, and finally feel like the woman who leads her life, not just survives it. Have you ever been so focused on your end goal that you miss what's right in front of you? Or been so caught up in the details that you forget where you're even headed? Just like a photographer has to balance focusing on the foreground and the background, we need to focus on what matters now while keeping sight of where we're going. Focus is essential to hitting any goal, but misplaced focus will keep you stuck. So if you've been chasing your health goals and wondering why you're still feeling scattered and overwhelmed despite your efforts, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. When you think of focus, you probably either imagine your head down, inches away from a desk or computer, completely zoned in on what you're doing, or you imagine looking far ahead into the future and what you ultimately want, keeping your eye on that big end goal. Both are important to hit any big goal: reversing disease, losing weight, running a marathon, starting a business. But if we get hyper-focused on one and ignore the other, either the right now task or the big picture outcome, we will drift off track without even realizing it, and that goal we're working on will never feel within reach. On one hand, we can be so focused on the now that we lose sight of the bigger picture. Like when you take a photo that's so focused on what's right in front of you, the background disappears into a blur. When we're hyper-focused on what we're doing in the day-to-day, it is easy to lose sight of what actually gets us to our goal. When you're working on shifting your diet to reduce inflammation so that you can heal your joints, heal your gut, and heal your autoimmune disease, you can be so focused on reading every ingredient, obsessing over everything you eat, that you stop eating out with friends and your meal prep takes forever, and you get so paranoid about everything that goes into your mouth and everything in your environment that you don't even realize the stress you're creating is going to prevent any true healing from happening. And someone who wants to heal their joints, gut, and autoimmune disease did not envision a life in remission looking like isolation and obsession. But on the other hand, we can be so focused on the big goal that we miss the basics. We read the books, we buy the courses, we listen to podcasts, but we don't pay attention to what we put in our coffee every day or how much sugar and inflammatory oils are in the dressings, sauces, and ready-to-eat items that we consume daily. To make real progress, you need both: the task that moves the needle today and the vision of the life you want tomorrow. When you keep both perspectives in mind, you stay grounded in action and open to opportunity. Because here's the danger. When you keep your head down too long, you don't notice when you're drifting off track. And when you're fixated on the big goal, your brain starts filtering out opportunities that don't look exactly like what you imagined, even if they're the shortcut you need. That's how the brain works. It filters information constantly. You don't see something until your brain decides it matters. And your brain only knows if something matters if you repeatedly tell it. It's efficient, but it will keep you blind to opportunities sitting right in front of you. Just like when we say, "I don't know," or "there is not a way," and the problem-solving part of our brain literally turns off, the same thing happens when we are so focused on what we think we want that we can't see opportunities when they're staring us in the face. You've probably experienced this before when you notice something for the first time or decide that something is important and then you start seeing it everywhere. Well, that's because our brain filters out what's irrelevant. We can't possibly take in all of the information that we're exposed to, so filtering what we notice is one of our brain's ways to be efficient. And that means until we tell our brain something matters, it literally does not let us see it. When we are hyper-focused on what we think we want, our brain tunes out opportunities that could take us to our end goal, sometimes faster or easier, because the opportunity doesn't look exactly like we imagined, so our brain doesn't recognize it as something worth paying attention to. One of our brain's jobs is to be efficient, and if we aren't aware of this, we will live in a silo, hustling and grinding away, having no idea what we want is right in front of us, and as likely isn't that hard to achieve. Another one of our brain's jobs is to keep us right where we are in the safe and familiar, away from the danger of the unknown, which means it loves to keep us distracted if it means life won't change. If our brain keeps us distracted doing the things that don't help us hit our goals, we get to stay right where we are in life, which is exactly what it wants. Sometimes distraction looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like keeping busy with everything but the thing you actually need to do. And sometimes it looks like hiding in the community, talking about the life you want, and acting like you're moving forward instead of doing the uncomfortable thing required to create it. So, how do we bridge the gap between being focused on what we need to do now, keeping our future goals in mind, and being open to opportunity without getting distracted? Because that is a tightrope to walk. 3 simple steps: overall outcome, milestones, daily actions. Start with your big goal and the why behind it. Why does it matter enough to keep going through frustration and setbacks? Why is it so important? Why haven't you given up yet? Then define your first milestone, that proof point that tells you you're on track. Maybe it's normal blood sugar, fitting into your jeans, hiking without exhaustion, or a month without gut issues. What is that first big milestone that you want to see? From there, list specific actions that will get you to that first milestone. What exactly do you need to do to get that result? This is where you'll work on daily, and what you'll get to keep tweaking until you know what works and you get to that first milestone. Then you get to do it all again. This is how you get the results you want: the big vision, your next target, and the daily actions that will get you to that target. So what about distractions? This is where I recommend to get an idea vault, a place to capture all of the podcasts, posts, and light bulb moments you come across so that they don't clutter your brain or derail your focus. And then later, you can go back and ask, does this actually move me closer to my ultimate goal? And does it fit the life that I want to create? And by putting ideas somewhere safe and not impulsively acting on them when we have that adrenaline rush of, oh my gosh, something amazing and new, you're able to objectively evaluate it instead of acting on emotion. There's a quote by Zig Ziglar that says, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll always be able to see further. You don't need the full path right now. You just need the next step. Each milestone you hit gives you the experience, confidence, and clarity to hit the next one. So set aside 15 to 20 minutes this week to map out your big goal, your first milestone, and the actions that will move you forward. Give yourself a plan that keeps you focused today while building the life you want tomorrow. Take action, stay empowered, and I'll see you next time. Okay, now before you pop off, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the one episode that could change your life. And give us a 5-star review if you learned something new today. If you want to check out all the awesome free guides, templates, and resources I've given away on this podcast, go to theneurodietitian.com/resources. You can grab anything you want, but only if you'll do it. Because information without implementation is worthless. And here at The Empowered Edge, we're action takers, not excuse makers.